Aloha. Good evening. This is Andrew Aloha Live out of Flagstaff, Arizona with Spiritual Image Productions on Facebook Live. Aloha and welcome to tonight's updates. Critiques and updates. I don't know. Yeah, critiques. I'm critiquing these movies, right? That's one. So, I kind of looked over some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. And first of all, happy Memorial Day weekend. Be safe, have fun, but don't overdo it to the point that it causes you problems and trouble. You don't want to go that route. It's never worth it uh, for the most part. But anyhow, tonight's update is China, trade war, and the 5G network, abortion ban, the NAU's Dr. George Hershey, fighting with my family, the upside, and today is 25 May 2019. Wow, how time flies when you're having fun, right? So anyhow, I was just kind of going over the information. You know, I go to Yahoo to get my news most of the time, and you know, you've been hearing about all these trade wars going on with Trump, and I don't know if I don't think that Trump is acting alone when we're talking about trade wars against China. I'm almost sure of it that he's not. But anyhow, I was just kind of going on some information, and I think about 2 videos ago, I was talking to you. I talked to you about a video that I watched concerning time travel, and it's probably one of the most authentic videos that I've watched on time travel, and it seemed to make sense. And number one, this guy was saying that there wasn't going to be a World War III, maybe some minor wars here and there, but I had already he confirmed what I had already said several videos back. Back in May 2014, when Uranus was in the middle of its height in Aries, I said, if we're going to have World War III, that's when it's going to happen. And then Putin from Russia comes out and says, yeah, we're going to, he was threatening World War III, right? Back in May of 2014. I believe that was when it was. And then in March, when Uranus went into its height again, so it like climaxed, and then it went reverse, and then went climaxed again, March 2015, and I predicted again, if we go to war, it's going to be at all like World War III. It's going to be March 2019. 2015, and again, Putin came out again the same month. Oh, he was threatening World War III again. It didn't happen. And I said that and by the way, I got some Vaseline here on my nose. You know, it's funny because when I was a kid, my grandmother used to put some of this stuff to whenever I was feeling sick. And a few weeks ago, I felt like I was getting pneumonia, so I put some of the stuff on, and I put my this thingamajig diffuser, and I put some eucalyptus, some tea tree oil, some lemon drops or lemon oil drops, and some peppermint drops in there, and then I put some of this Vicks on my throat and my chest and on my nose. And number one, it helps me breathe a lot better, and with the diffuser, you know, I was able to overcome another episode of pneumonia flu, because I ended up in the hospital in February, and then I think I ended up in the hospital this month again, just to make sure. And then I feel like I'm making progress because they said I was fine. I didn't have pneumonia, and I had a viral infection with sinuses, so that helped really diffuse a lot of that. And so anyhow, I feel a lot better. So now I'm finding that if I put the Vicks on it, because I have chronic sinusitis, I put the Vicks on my nose and my lip, upper lip, and that helps me breathe a lot better. So anyhow, going back to the China trade war, I was if you looked at this video, the on time travel that I was talking about, it talks about 6G network, which is really, really bizarre. Again, this guy confirmed that there's not going to be a World War III, and that's what I had already predicted months ago. And I said if we're going to have World War III at all, it's going to be either May 14 or March 2015, and never happened. So, and then this guy comes out and says, "No, we're not going to have a World War from here on out," which I had already understood, and according to astrology, was able to figure out. So anyhow, this guy also says that there's going to be robots and that are going to be manning a lot of stuff, including nursing homes and stuff like that. And they're fighting about 5G networking right now, but that's nothing compared to 6G compared when 6G comes out. And I believe that you're going to be, if you look at it, from a objective point of view, the 6G network. Well, right now it's all about information, the information age. The CIA, FBI, KGB, all these other agencies depend on information, right? The more information you have about anything, the better, because and that's what's really manning dominancy in this era, in this day and age. So I was looking at this, and Trump is going off on this trade war and putting tariffs on trade, and then all of a sudden the Chinese and are doing the same thing because they're retaliating. They're reacting to Trump's arrogance. I believe is a good word. So anyhow, I was thinking about this, and I was looking at this yesterday or today, this morning, or I think it was yesterday. Boom! It hit me like a rock, like a light. That whole trade war thing, it isn't about trade war. It's not even about tariffs or anything like that. That whole fight, that whole scenario, that whole arrogant scene is about this 5G network. AT&T is coming out, and I don't think that they're saying they have 5G networking. I was just reading an article, I read an article a couple of days ago, yesterday or today, and it was talking about the 5G network, and then that's when it hit me. This whole fight, this whole issue of trade war is about this 5G network. And what it is that Trump decided, because the U.S. doesn't have the upper hand on 5G networking. In fact, no company in the U.S. has any such ability right now, as far as I understand. No company does. I was reading, let me see, an article here. Come on. It's called How China's, there's a company called Huawei, Howie. I don't know. I don't know, understand English, Chinese language very well. But anyhow, it took the lead over U.S. companies in 5G technology. And from what I understand, the other article that I was reading was saying that that this company was the only company in the world that has a grasp and capability for 5G networking. No other company in the world does. But then this article that I'm reading, that I just read tonight, says that there are others. There are the four other companies that do have capability for 5G network working are Sweden's company called Ericsson, Finland's company called Nokia, and of course China's company called Huawei, Huawei, and then there's another company called ZTE, which it says it accounts for 2/3 of the global market for telecom equipment. Again, we're talking about information capabilities, increase in information capabilities all across the board. You can download information a lot faster than 4G. Probably you can remote control stuff a lot better. Probably robots will be able to be operated a lot better because of the 5G network. And again, when we get to the 6G, it's going to even be expanded even more. It's going to be crazy. I don't know how wild it's going to be, but the capabilities for communication and technology are just going to be so much more advanced than they are now. Again, when I told you about this other guy that did this travel, what's it called? Time travel video. He was talking about going into 6G and then being able to plug into the network, the internet. There's some kind of device in the back of your head. Again, just like the Matrix, you plug in this, and if you've seen a lot of RoboCop or sci-fi movies, they do the exact same thing. They plug in some kind of device in the back of robots' heads or people's heads or whatever, and they download all the information from the internet, and boom, they're educated just like that. And in fact, this guy from time travel in this time travel video was saying that that's how you're going to be educated. I believe, from what I understand, you're not even going to have to go to school. You'll just plug into this network, boom, and you know everything about everyone and everything, and it's a done deal, like in seconds. And that's what this 5G capability is saying. They're saying about this. You'll be able to download things a lot, like 4 or 5 times faster than the 4G network stuff. And I mean stuff. What was it saying? A 1 gigabyte, I believe. I don't know. I don't remember. But here, I'll read you some of this stuff. Well, anyhow, you can look it up, but the capabilities for information are going to be a lot more, and that's what they're fighting for. Again, that's what the CIA, FBI, KGB, all these agencies, that's what they do, is gather information. So it's going to be much easier for them to gather information, but it's also going to be much easier and faster for terrorists to gather information as well about anything that they want to do. So that's going to be a whole another program in that arena as well. So it's going to be interesting how. So again, this whole trade war is what's it called? What I want to say. It's like a magic trick. It's keeping your eyes on something else when something else is going on. So this whole trade war is literally all about trying to control or manipulate the 5G network programming. Because again, from what I was reading, this China company in China is really the only company that has a grasp on the 5G network, unlike any of the other companies. Maybe the other companies do, but I don't know. I just heard about that tonight, so that's news to me. So anyhow, so Trump is literally telling companies, well, don't deal with this company in China, don't do any business with them, and so there's a lot of companies out there that are refraining from doing business with this company. And again, they're trying to keep your eyes on something else when the real fight is all about the 5G network, which is a line of shit. So Trump, get it together, just deal with it, get real, and just find a way to with this in a respectful, professional manner instead of bullying people around. It doesn't pay to bully people around. The only time it does may pay to bully anybody around is to bully another bully. And you know, the best way to bullies to deal with the bully is to put all their behavior out in the public so that everybody knows about it and not just the bully and the victim. So that if you want to be a professional and be a real president and get a grasp in terms of what it means to be a president, then deal with this professionally, Donald Trump. And I say Donald Trump because until you start acting like a president, and I believe there are steps you have taken already that are leading you in that direction, but it's not enough yet. You really, really need to come to terms with learning how to be a professional president. It's like you need to do that yesterday. Not even today, yesterday. Does that make sense to you? Get with the program already, right? You're not just president for yourself, you're president for everybody in the United States. And the way to be a leader is to make sure all your people are safe and secure. That's step number one. Any leader, any good goddamn leader knows that. Period. Now get over it. So now, and this is another example, prime example, abortion. This, you know, Alabama, Georgia, who was it, Mississippi? I can't remember. There's 4 states that have put a ban on abortion. Now, I can't disagree with them 100%, but I do disagree with them to some level or another. Now, if you go to the Alice Bailey works, and if you don't know who Alice Bailey is, look her up. She basically dictated several books, a whole series of books via telepathy by Dwakul, I believe it's Dwakul, who's in the Himalayan mountains, I believe, or Tibetan mountains or whatever. But anyhow, he dictated via telepathy a whole series of books, literally, that are like reading the Bible. If you read these books, it's reading the Bible. The information is so esoteric and it's just amazing. And if you read these books, you'll learn that life is not actually present in a body, in a vehicle, until the soul dawns that body, until the soul connects and is integrated into that body. And that typically doesn't happen, I believe, for 3 or 4 weeks after the day of conception. Now, I do astrology according to this particular dynamics. I do what you call a soul chart, the day the soul connects with the fetus, and then I do a personality chart, the day the person comes out of the womb, literally. So there's 2 different types of astrology charts that I do, and so the soul chart is actually more accurate in terms of the true life purpose of the person, but the personality chart is actually just as valid because it gives you information in terms of how you're going to grow up, and until you get to your soul chart path, then that's how you'll be living your lifestyle for the most part, for most people. So anyhow, once the soul comes in and connects with the fetus, then literally there is life in a child, in a body, and thereafter, if you abort a kid, a baby, a fetus, then I believe that that's considered murder, of murdering a kid, a child. So I believe that, number one, you shouldn't be allowed to abort a child after 4 weeks of pregnancy, because again, you would be committing murder if you ask me. And number two, now some of these states are saying you can't abort at all. And again, they're saying, well, there's only 1% of women out there that are raped that become pregnant. And so what? So what? One kid is born out of rape. If one kid is born out of that energy, that kid lives that lifestyle, the energy of rape, for the duration of the lifetime. Number one, it may not be fair for that person, because that person might live a miserable lifetime, throughout their life because of that energy. And maybe it's karmically maybe it's karmically their life to Hammerhead. If you want me to shut up, then I don't know if you're saying that to be rude, but if you are, you need to go away, because if you don't understand any of this, then maybe you need to shut up. But that's besides the point. So anyhow, maybe karmically that's what they're supposed to do is deal with that energy. But do they need to deal with that energy in that way? I don't know. But that's besides the point. So anyhow, and women are saying, oh, well, it's our bodies. Well, if you come into an agreement with a male person to have a kid, and both of you have a kid together, well, maybe it's part of the male's decision as well that should be included in that whole process. If you come to an agreement, then you need to stick to that agreement and work it out and work with it somehow. And yeah, there's a lot of women that get artificially inseminated, and maybe they're not, they have no partner or whatever. And in that case, maybe that's their decision, and that is their body. And of course, they have a right to say so for of their own body, because it could mean their health one way or another. There's all kinds of factors that are considered when women become pregnant. But later, when kids are born in incubators, I believe that's it's determined. It's going to happen in the future. Then it's all going to be a different story, and probably it'll mean a whole different ball game in terms of how parenting will work and so forth. So now later beyond that, when humans become hermaphrodites, just like worms, they're going to be able to have their own kids and reproduce within themselves, then that's going to be a whole different ball game. I still think it's going to be kind of weird, but that's the direction of humanity in years and years and years to come, further down the road. Literally, we'll be able to impregnate ourselves and have our own kids within ourselves, and we won't need any other partners. assumably. So I don't know, and it's already happening now. There's a very few cases. I don't know, a handful of cases, maybe five cases. So I don't know how many people, but well, we'll see. Either way, this whole reproduction business is going to evolve and change, continue to evolve and change over the years. So and maybe these states are being the devil's advocates for that process. I don't know, but it'll evolve even beyond that, beyond these 4 states bans on abortion, because again, it's gonna cause a lot of change concerning reproduction and producing kids. So we'll see how all that works out as we go along. So although a lot of people may not agree, again, if a child has a soul already in it, and then a woman decides to abort that kid, personally, I believe and think that's considered murder, not cool at all. So if they're going to abort, it should be before 5 weeks, certainly, but more than likely before 4 weeks, on or before 4 weeks. And I believe that it would be safe to say that that kid is not a living human being inside that body at that point. That's what I'm assuming or guessing or saying. So anyhow, tonight I had the pleasure and the honor of attending an event, a retirement event for NAU's Northern Arizona University's Dr. George Hershey, who spent 48 years. Can you believe that? 48 years. I believe he was a physical fitness trainer. He was a physician for the athletics department, is what I understand. So I don't remember exactly what his title was, but anyhow, and there was testimonials. There's family, his wife that he's still with, all saying the same thing. This guy, a very kind person, very caring person, committed, focused, and professional. No, not one Me Too was directed at this guy, and whatever it was that this guy did, he did the right thing. He took the right steps. He has been and still is in the right direction. And so there's a lot of people that attended tonight's celebration, and people from all over the country were literally flew in just for this occasion for tonight. I can't say that I actually met this guy prior to, but I think I had seen him around, and but he seemed like a pretty nice guy. If you go to Instagram, I don't know if I got my Instagram page listed on their address on the comment section. I think I do, but if you not find it, just look up Andrew Aloha. But I'll be posting a couple of photographs from that if you want to check this guy out. So anyhow, a very honorable engagement to attend. I really enjoyed it. So it was pleasant. So anyhow, going into critiquing some of these movies. For the last couple of videos, at least the last video or so, I've been watching mostly movies on Amazon Prime, and I was right. Amazon Prime has more videos for adults than they do for kids or families. So it's been nice to be able to they gave me a free trial membership, and then they extended it for another week. So for another week, I get to watch some more Amazon Prime movies. But and I've been watching some of these movies on Redbox, and as well this one, Fighting with My Family, and also the Upside, the next one that I'm going to be talking about. They were both Redbox movies. Redbox gets movies that are just coming out of the oven, that are just coming out of the theaters most of the time. So it's nice to go to Redbox and watch their movies because it goes to them first. Even before HBO or Stars or Amazon Prime or whatever. They usually go to Redbox first, and then they go to the other networks afterwards. So Fighting with My Family. Now I have to say I had an affinity, and that just came out actually last year. No, this year. It did come out this year. I had an affinity to that movie because it was about wrestling. Woohoo! I grew up in high school. I was a wrestler, and it was pretty successful affair for me. So this was also successful. Now it's been interesting because I've been watching a lot of movies that are based on true events or based on true life stories or whatever, and those seem to be more interesting than the other movies. Because the other movies, they have some interesting concepts a lot of times, but they miss details. They wouldn't have missed if it was a based on a true life story because they just don't think about them. That's all, right? So the Fighting with My Family came out this year with Dwayne Johnson, Florence Pugh, and Vince Vaughn, about this family out of England who they're a family of wrestlers, and the daughter, there's a son and a daughter, and then the mom and the dad, and the dad was in prison. Then he turned to wrestling, and that's how he overcame his criminal lifestyle, right? So the daughter goes out, and she's having a hard time coming to terms of figuring out who she is. Finally, she accepts that she's in a family of wrestlers, and she does. She goes on to be one of the youngest title holders of WWE or whatever, and so it has a nice ending. So and Dwayne Johnson is part of, and again, this is based on actual events, and Dwayne Johnson, I believe, was part of this whole ordeal during that time as well. So he ended up being, and then Vince Vaughn, I don't think he was definitely there in real life, but I think Dwayne Johnson was. Vince Vaughn was just a manager, and he played a manager, but it was inspiring, and especially if you're a woman, a female, and want to see some inspiration, then have at it. Go get the movie and check it out. That's what I think. So and then the Upside. Oh my God! If you want to laugh your head off for a whole movie's worth of watching a video, right? I believe that movie just came out last year with Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart and Nicole Kidman. Again, based on a true story. Kevin Hart is a guy who just gets out of jail, out of prison, and he has a kid and an ex-girl or ex-wife, whatever, and he's he's just out looking for work, right? And he just wants a signature so he can give to his parole officer, so let him know that he's looking for work. And somehow he ends up getting the job anyhow as a caretaker, right? They called it something else, but they for it instead. So he gets the job, again, based on a true story, and he ends up him and his boss, who's Brian Cranston, he ends up being a quadriplegic from some accident or something. And Nicole Kidman is running his business. So she's trying to find somebody to take care of him, and that will be a good choice, a good match. And Brian says, "Well, I want you. I'm going to hire you." To Kevin Hart, and he goes, they go, "Well, go home, think about it, and then come back tomorrow morning and get ready to work." So he does. He goes back in the morning, and then a whole slew of events takes place. And man, some of those events are pretty funny, but that's the point. So anyhow, the next movie I want to talk, and again, these are all 2 thumb up movies. The Legend of Baggar Vance. That's an older movie, 2000, with Will Smith, Matt Damon, Charlize Theron, Bruce McGill, Joel Gretsch, and J. Michael Moncrief, about a golfer out of Georgia. I believe it was Georgia. And so this young guy from Georgia is, and again, this is based on a true life event. This kid, it becomes he just does these tournaments and he kicks butt, right? He kicks ass, and then he ends up having to go into the military, and then he becomes a lieutenant, I believe, and then his whole battalion is lost. They all get killed or something. So he runs off and he hides, and he goes back to Georgia, and then I believe Nicole Kidman was in there as well. No, Charlize Theron. Her dad dies. And Charlize Theron, Matt Damon were involved with each other before he left into the military. And so he doesn't write and doesn't call, doesn't do anything. And she's all pissed off and hurt because he hasn't, said anything. So he comes back and she sees him come back into town, but they still don't talk. In the meantime, her dad dies, and there's this whole plantation, I believe it's a plantation, but she has this whole company and she's not running it very well, and she loses a lot of money. But also the war takes its toll, and she loses a lot of money, and she's almost on the edge on the brink of losing everything. So she goes, "Well, I want to do a tournament." And back in the day, $10,000 was a lot of money, and the purse will be $10,000. Blah blah blah. So she talks to all these businesses, and they go, "Well, we're not going to sponsor you unless we get our very own Georgia player." So they find, Matt Damon, his character. They find him, and they go, "We want you to play." And he goes, "No, I'm not playing." Then somehow he ends up making up his mind, and he goes, "Okay, fine, I'll play." So he ends up playing, and Will Smith, he comes out of the blue, and his name is he is the character called Baggar Vance, and he actually becomes his caddy and literally retrains Matt Damon, and gets him back into the program, into shape, into golfing again. And at the very end, he ends up tying. There's only 3 golfers, and the other 2 golfers are like world-renowned golfers, like the famous golfers, right? So they all tie together at the very end. And even though Matt Damon could have actually won the tournament, but because of this slight error that didn't even matter to anybody else, not even the other players gave a crap, right? he goes, no, I'm not gonna take this as a hit or whatever. But anyhow, if you watch it, you'll see what I'm talking about. Really an interesting movie to watch. Fun movie to watch. Um, let me see. And that was a good movie to watch as well. Ollie, again with Will Smith. That came out about the boxer Muhammad Ali, and that was a very interesting movie because it was more of a biography than not of Muhammad Ali and the connections he had, um, and how he came to be. This came out in 2001. Will Smith, Jamie Foxx, John Voight, Mario Van Peebles, Jada Pinkett Smith. Um, Very interesting movie in terms of basically the 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 background of Muhammad Ali, and so very interesting movie to watch. Some of the things I had no idea that you know went on with him as well. And he had ties to what was that guy's name? I want to say Groucho Marx, but no, Marx. The what's his name? Well, anyhow, who was murdered right before he became into his power, right before Muhammad Ali was Karl Marx. Karl Marx. Anyhow, if you watch the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. Interesting movie. Sahara. Now that was not based on true events, I don't think, but that came out 2005 with Steve Zahn, Matthew McConaughey, Penelope Cruz, Delroy Lindo, William H. Macy, about these coins that were lost I believe in the Civil War. They had I can't remember the president of the United States or whatever had been made up right before the Civil War, something like that. And there was only a handful, and then later towards the end of the movie, they find somehow the the vehicle, and I want to say um, I believe it was the Marines. What you call it? I don't even know what you call it. But anyhow, it ended up in the desert in Sahara or whatever, and they find it, and they all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of coins in it. But it was a pretty intense movie. Lots of bombs being blown up. So that's another one. The bank job. Oh my God, that was and that was again another true life event movie. Um, that came out in 2007 with Jason Statham, Saffron Burrows, Keely Hawes, Richard Linton. These guys. And what it is, it's actually a political movie where these guys from um, from England, I believe it was England, um, are staged. They hire through indirect um, people, a group of people a group of men to rob a bank, a particular bank, because this other guy, a total jerk, um, goes up and he at the beginning of the movie he takes these pictures of this princess and some of the uh, England's royalty or whatever are their leaders, you know, doing this orgy and all this stuff and whatever. And so he bribes them people because of these photographs, and he has these photographs in the bank vault. So they go, well, why don't we get somebody to rob the bank? They can steal the photos, you can destroy the photos, and we don't have to worry about that anymore. Wrong, wrong answer, because they rob the bank. What was 4 or 5 million pounds of money, which is about what $6-7 million or so, whatever. And So and they find the photographs, and they try a couple of one or two, I think, of the thieves get killed, but then the Jason Statham, who's the brain of all this, figures it out, and he turns all the tables on the political figures and the people that are trying that hired him to rob the bank. So at the very end, they still end up getting away with the money, and the political figures end up getting arrested because of their shenanigans and then whatever else. So it's very very funny and interesting movie. That's fun. So what goes around comes around. Karma, duh. Bad News Bears. Oh my God, that was such a funny movie. I had watched that movie once before. At least I thought I had, and for some reason it just didn't seem the same. It came out in 2004, and I thought it was older than that. Billy Bob Thornton, Greg Kinnear, Marcia Gay Harden, Sammy Kane Kraft. Now, Sammy Kane Kraft was because they had these kids, and Billy Bob Thornton, of course, is the coach, and they go, well, we want you to coach, and so he coaches. He comes out with his beers and everything else, right? This drunk coaching this team, and apparently he used to be on some kind of a major league team and whatever, and his girlfriend's daughter is like younger, and he goes to her, well, I want you to come on the team. He goes, no, I don't want to, because he's kind of a father figure for her. And so finally she ends up agreeing to it, and she goes out, and it makes a difference for the team. And then some other kid that's a rebel, he talks him into coming out onto the team as well. And so they end up they end up in the finals, right? But they don't end up winning the World Little League Series or whatever it's called. But they did end up being in that final game with the other team. So they didn't end up winning the whole series, but they were satisfied that they came from nothing to being second place contenders in the World Series. So, and there was even a guy in a wheelchair on the team. It was pretty funny. And but it was interesting to note that the girl Sammy Kane Kraft. I don't know how she died, but she has become deceased since then, and which was kind of interesting. She seemed like she had a lot of talent, a lot of potential, but I guess she had a short commitment here, and then she had to move on. So I guess that's the way that. You see, World Trade Center. Oh man, that was intense. 2006 with Nicolas Cage, Michael Pena, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and Maria Bello. Again, based on another world, the true events of the Twin Towers being blown up. That was pretty intense. And the guys. It was interesting to note that the guys, Nicolas Cage and Michael Pena, they're police officers, and they end up getting trapped. And it was interesting to note that Nicolas Cage is saying the world what's the name of that prayer? The Our Father prayer, and then Michael Pena has, they pass out for a little while. And Michael Pena has this vision of going, and he goes to the tunnel, and he actually has an encounter with Jesus and all this paranormal stuff going on, and then they end up getting saved in the end, and very, very emotional, I believe is a good word. Very amazing turn of events that happened, and they were lucky because there was only a handful of people that actually survived. That were survivors from that whole ordeal. So even though thousands, and I believe that several, all these thousands of people somehow had a contractual agreement to be a part of all this, and then move on together as a group. So I think that's what happened. They all came together and agreed to be involved in this whole scenario, and then move on and to the next lifetime. So that was something to that. A dinner for the Schmucks. Oh my God. That was a slapstick kind of movie. Came out 2010 with Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, Zach Galifianakis, anyhow, Zach G. We're going to call him the G spot, period. But anyhow, and Stephanie Zostak. Interesting movie on some bizarre events to take place. This guy, Paul Rudd, is being nominated for promotion, so he has to attend this dinner, and he has to bring this some weirdo that everybody can laugh at the dinner, and everybody else does too. And the weirdest person gets the trophy, wins the prize, and literally there's a trophy involved. So it was a bizarre movie, but funny and interesting. So anyhow, if you want a barrel full of laughs, there you go. Cupcake. So anyhow, the one thumb up movies that I watched, Acts of Violence. What was that? Oh no. Ooh, okay, let's see who that was with. Time out. Acts of Violence. Cole Hauser and Bruce Willis. 2007. Oh, about trafficking. Bruce Willis is a cop, and this was about human trafficking, and so they end up embarking upon human trafficking circle, and so in the very end, they end up kicking their ass. But it was kind of cheesy in the way it was set up. And the sister becomes one of the women that's being trafficked. She's getting married. They go out for the bachelorette party, some bar, and magically she ends up taking a phone call outside in the back in an alley where there's nobody at all, and then she gets mugged and kidnapped. Really, that's going to happen in real life? Whatever. So anyhow, it was kind of cheesy, but it was interesting in that they were combating trafficking. So Echelon Conspiracy was similar to War Games, is what I got. Shane West, Ed Burns, Martin Sheen, Tamara Feldman. It came out to let me refresh my memory with this movie because I don't remember it very well. That tells you everything. That's why I was nominated a one thumb up movie, because I can't even remember it. It was so cheesy, right? So that's the second point. So and the internet was quick. See, the 5G networking, that's going to be a lot better for my computer when it comes in, because then this stuff will kick in like in a second, right? It'll be fast, like no tomorrow. Oh my God, why can't I remember this movie? That's how cheesy it was. Oh, I think I remember this guy, this kid. It's kind of like he graduates, and it's kind of like one of those Google firms, companies, corporations. They have the fix on all the latest technology, and they're working on building more and more stuff, bigger and better stuff. I believe that's right. Huh? I know. Oh, Men in Black #3 is coming out. Oh, I can't wait. I want to watch the movie for sure. I believe it comes out in June. I can't remember when and where, but come on, why isn't this coming out? Time out. Maybe it's not the movie I was thinking about. Agent Dave. Huh? Why can't I remember these guys? Okay, I'm gonna take a time out to watch part of this, and then I just need a little refresher, and I'll remember it. I know that's all it is. Oh, and they gotta give me a commercial. Bite me, kiss my butt, whatever. Just to watch a trailer. What a bunch of greedy assholes. Well, anyhow, it must not have been that amazing, because if I'm having to go back and watch the trailer for this. People, whatever. Oh, I remember now. Okay, now I remember. See, all I need is it's like a song, You get the first stanza, and then you can the rest of the song. But anyhow, this guy is overseas, and somebody sends him a cell phone, and this cell phone gives him directions to go play the jackpot, or go play 21, or invest in Walmart, and he wins all this money, right? And so it's like war games. I think it was last video that I talked about it, but there's this whole computer glitch going on, and mankind is not perfect, and neither are computers. Is the whole name of the game, and so the computer on its own starts thinking for itself and does all this stuff. And again, it sends this cell phone to all these other people, including this guy, and all the other people end up getting killed afterwards. So that's what would have happened to him if the FBI hadn't stepped in and all this stuff taking place. But they finally figured it out, and it was like war games. All of a sudden, the computer reboots or something, and then everything's fine again after that. So anyhow, interesting movie, but it was kind of cheesy in a way. Again, it was like war games, The Neighbor. Oh my God! Now that was on the borderline of being two thumbs up. I'll tell you here in a second. 2007, Matthew Modine, Michelle Lorae, and Gia Montegna. The Neighbor buys the whole building, and she wants this guy to move out, Matthew Modine, right? But he won't move out, and then somehow he ends up having to go to his ex-wife's wedding, and so he's staying there because of his morals and values. He's so stubborn. He's not going to move out. And then this one little thing, just because of vanity, he goes, well, if you go out with me to be my date for this wedding, then I'll move out. And so she agrees, blah, blah, blah. And then they fall in love with each other. Well, excuse me, whatever. And so, but I mean, it was a funny movie, but kind of lame in a way as well. Kind of cheesy. Antitrust with 2000, Ryan Phillips, Claire Forlani, Rachel Leigh Cook, Ken Robbins. It was again about computers and technology, and there's this whole thing that's set up, and it was kind of cheesy in the way that they set it up, and the kid, what's his name, is Ryan Phillips. Philip is like this genius, this computer nerd, this computer genius, and Ken Robbins wants him because they're working on the 5G network, 6G network type of thing. They call it, but they call it Synapse or something like that instead, right? And so setting up the Synapse system will control the world, blah 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 blah. But it was cheesy again, kind of lame, and so I gave it a 1 thumb up. Now there was a couple of movies that I watched: Artificial Intelligence, No Postage Necessary, Artificial Intelligence, 2001, and then No Postage Necessary, 2018. If you want to check those out or even watch the trailers, that's up to you. But I couldn't even finish watching those movies because they were so lame. Anyhow, have an awesome Memorial Day weekend. If you want a reading, an astrology reading, or Reiki session, or I'll do it. If you want, get this message within the next, by the end of this month, May, and you set up an appointment with me before the end of May. I'll do a 1 hour session with you for an hour. For $50 if you want to do something like that. And you can go to my website, spiritualintroductions.com, confirm it there. You'll have to donate the money because I have a slot for that. But if you want to do a 1 hour session for $50, as long as you confirm it by the end of the month, then I'll honor that, and then we'll set up an appointment and do it. Anyhow, enjoy your barbecue for the Memorial Day weekend. Have a God Goddess weekend. Be the love that you are, always have been, and always will be. Aloha.